What is your biggest challenge regarding the hustle?
Not having like a original source to learn from, because like especially with like a street dance background, I think it's really important to learn about the history and like the background and the culture of the dance. But I felt like we didn't really have that direct source to learn from. So it was a lot of looking at some videos, looking at M123 a lot, and trying to dissect what was happening in there. But we wanted to learn a lot more deeper history, especially like where it came from. So I think that was the hardest part in the beginning.
Yes, here we are in the N123 studios. Mike Bello here with a very cool, very chooch, like we say back in the Bronx, a very nice individual, Thalia. I don't even know how to pronounce your last name, but you can tell us.
Nghiem.
Yeah, we can do that later. But I only just met you, in the last year, and you are such a joy to be around. You're like Miss Sunshine.
Oh,
Everywhere you go,
thanks.
you have a smile that's bigger than your face can contain, and I love it.
Yeah, that's
Yes. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk with you. And yeah, as you know, like we only met in the last year. My first time in New York, I think we met at 412, and it was just crazy experience for me. So yeah, it's so great to be here with you.
Awesome, awesome. Because I'm very impressed with you for several reasons, which we'll touch on. And I figured, because one of the things that I wanted to do was to be inclusive. Let's talk hustle, right? And hustle is not for only one type of person, male, female, young, old, any race, any gender, or genderless, or any background, anything, because everybody hustles for everyone. And hustle is global. And it's good to be able to talk to folks who come from, all corners of the globe, which is kind of a weird thing to say, right? Because the globe is round and corners are. But anyway, I always like to look at it in that funny way. But what I like to do is I usually just, no fluff. I usually just get right to the questions. So, as a globetrotter, I consider you that, what is your biggest challenge regarding the hustle?
The challenge, I think because so just about me, my background. So I was born and raised in Montreal, so I'm from Canada, but I started learning hustle in Japan, and now I'm based in Tokyo. I've been here about 8 years, quite a
Uh,
long time. So I started here, and then I didn't really have a hustle teacher with a background of Latin hustle, so I actually learned through New Style Hustle first. So my first teachers were Zabu and Eri. So they were doing classes in Tokyo every Thursday night. So that's how Yushi and I started. And then as we kind of got deeper into the dance, we started looking at videos online and then also meeting people from out of Japan. So one time we met Stacey from Poland. So he's the head of in hustle, like hustle pool stuff. So we like talked to him a lot, and then we traveled to Canada for a bit and started like open up ideas from there. But
Excuse
I
me.
think the hardest part, yeah,
I'm sorry. What year was that? Like when you first got started, and then getting into.
what? Oh, so if it's been 5 years, before pandemic, so December of 2018.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, that's when we started.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the hardest part was like not having like a original source to learn from, because like especially with like a street dance background, I think it's really important to learn about the history and like the background and the culture of the dance. But I felt like I didn't really have that direct source to learn from, so it was a lot of like looking at some videos, like looking at M123 a lot and trying to dissect what was happening in there. Like of course Saguenay taught us a lot of things, but that we wanted to learn like a lot more deeper into like the history, especially like where it came from. So I think that was the hardest part at the beginning.
I see. I see. And so you were traveling for how long now before you felt a little comfortable with the dance?
Bits and pieces. It wasn't just like a one moment of aha. It was like having a, for example, I said Stacey, he came with his partner at the time, Marcelina, so they came to Japan and they taught us actually with like the concept of like the back break, side break with the leader on the left foot at the time, because when I started, I was taught that the leader would be on the right foot in the back break. But it's slowly changed
Oh, okay.
here in Tokyo. But when I started, though, it was because on the opposite side. So,
Right. Right.
and then they came and then they taught us this, and then I was like, oh, why does it work like this? And then slowly, like, actually, some teachers from Taiwan, so Salsa Taiwan, they have a great community there.
Mm.
So people like Wilbur came to teach, and he's really interesting because he also hasn't been to New York, but he has a background in Zouk, so his understanding of connection and like where your weight is in your body is influenced by that, and then he incorporates that in hustle. So that was like really interesting. But just like learning from a lot of people throughout the travels, and then understanding like, oh, there's like so much more to the dance. And I think that's what made me and my partner Nishi slowly understand more deeply about hustle. And then for me, of course, traveling to New York was the best thing that ever happened. Yeah.
You came to the mesa.
Yes.
I think
But I understand it's like it's difficult if you don't have the resources. It's far, especially if you're in Asia. New York is very, very far.
it's very far. Yes, yes. And I give you a big thumbs up for doing all that, to get out there. I mean, that shows the type of passion that you have, because it's, besides the timing and all that, meaning the timing of getting to New York and all that, the resources to be here and to spend time so that you're not here for too short of a time as well, so you can get the most out of your visit. But I think that's really interesting what you're saying about how you were trying to connect the dots initially and you were using visuals, and then you were using information from a different genre of dance to help you get that partner connectivity. It's very interesting. I find that very, that old saying, "There's more than one way to skin a cat," and you are finding ways to make it happen, and that also shows the level of commitment and passion that you developed for the dance. And I think that that's very cool. I love that you went through that. It must have been a little difficult to, I mean, unless the transition between all of that occurred like over time, like over a lot of time. If it was over a short amount of time, I can imagine it could be confusing. But did you find that when you had these other things interjecting into your hustle that it was confusing and you were scratching your head and going, well, wait a minute, like what do I do? Like the timing issue, like you had the leader was starting with the right foot instead of the left foot, right? Those kinds of things. Find a lot of those things happening.
Yeah, a lot of it was like the same time. So it was like having a different teacher teach what they thought, explaining what was happening, and then slowly digesting that and being like, okay, this works for me. Yeah, this one still don't understand. Maybe it doesn't work for me. And then kind of learning and picking and choosing exactly what works and what doesn't. So I think for me, just I don't have a single teacher that taught me everything. I learned from a lot of people. I have influence from a lot of people. And I think it's actually a good thing to learn from different sources so that you can understand, like, there's different perspectives.
Right.
And, like, as I think as a learner, some people might be like a more, I don't know, visual learner, or some people are more like to learn about how their body works and what's happening within like the muscles and really going into the nitty-gritty. And
Right.
some people are like about the feeling of like how does it feel? Like, oh, I feel like I'm flying, like this kind of. So it really depends on what works for you as a dancer.
Right. But I imagine you're saying all of that because you experienced all of that. Am I wrong?
Yes.
I'm right. I'm
Yeah.
right saying that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Sorry.
Like, yeah, right. You're wrong. No, you're right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
When you agree with someone, it's like different from when you say it in English. Because like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's messed up in my head. I've been here for so long now, I'm so used to like the way to answer like a yes or no question in a way. Yes. It's just, yes.
Wow,
That's
cultural
sorry.
differences. But but
Yes.
besides New York, where have you found the most benefit to your hustle besides New York?
Besides New York?
Yeah.
When we went to Canada in 2022 in the summer, I spent some time in Montreal because that's where I'm from. And there we took our first private ever with Smooth, B-Boy Smooth.
Yes.
And that was really eye-opening because he really taught the basics, hustle, and really broke it down in terms of how your body is working and how your frame should be. And that was our first time being really explained about how that connects with the dance. And that really helped us to understand a lot of the questions that we had, and it provided the answers that we needed.
Yeah, Smooth seems to be an influence up there. I mean, I know that I spoke with Julian and Taylor, and they had a similar. And it's funny too because of late I've been speaking to folks like you who have a background in street dancing, the solo dancing and all that, and how they transitioned into partner dancing, primarily, the hustle. Then went into new style and gravitated to Latin hustle. Others didn't and had a different avenue to get to where they're at present. But yeah, in Montreal, yeah, Smooth is kind of like the go-to guy, at least at a particular period of time. And although Julian and Taylor had been dancing longer, they started so much longer, their influence stemmed partly from Smooth. So it's good. And that reminds me, I need to see if I guess I have to add him to the list of
Yeah.
of guests for the podcast.
Yes.
Because it's good. So you walked away. How long did you spend with him? Or it was just the one private, or?
Yeah, it was as well. But the private was like a 2-hour private. Yeah.
Nice. So it's kind of
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and it was our first private ever of your hustle.
Right.
So it was really good. We asked a lot of questions. We had so many questions. So it was great to have someone to answer them.
Yeah, I could imagine because you're saying 2022, you said? But you had been dancing for about 2 or 3 years by that time?
Yeah, but yeah. By that time, yeah, about 2 or 3 years. But I think before going to Canada, I think I was at a point with my dance where I was like hitting the walls. Like, why am I not getting better? Like, what can I do? Like, how can I improve? And then I think it really helped to travel. Yeah, when we traveled to Canada, it was like Vancouver and then Montreal. But then in Montreal, when we did that private, it really helped to understand, we really need to refocus on our basics, because that's where the dance is grounded.
Yes. A lot of people don't look at that. Even experienced dancers, they don't fall back on their fundamentals. Without that, the dance doesn't really thrive. And there are folks who are taking classes and all they want is the shiny, sparkly thing. And they don't focus on those things that keep them rooted in the dance that actually help to make them look great. Because if you have a solid solid basics, solid fundamental, how to turn, when to turn. That's really important too. But more importantly too are the leaders. So I mean, I've seen you.
Mm.
So I think that you kind of understand that as well. Yes, that
Well,
it takes
leading is hard.
hard, hard. You know, it's I give followers a lot of credit because they have to do, even if the leader is doing wrong or bad stuff, they still have to follow it, right? Because that's their role. But when you flip that and you become the leader, your mind is all a jumble, and you
Mhm.
really rely not only on the fundamentals but what comes next. It takes a while to be able to be comfortable in the movement and how you help to portray the follower as the object, because the follower is the object of the whole. We used to say that the leader is the frame and the follower is the picture. So we have to make sure that that occurs, and hopefully you feel that way as well as when you lead. So in the short time that I've known you, I've seen your growth, and besides this turning point with Smooth, what else can you attribute that to?
So after coming back from Canada and then finding my Yushi and I were like, we can't just have this knowledge to ourselves. Like, we really want to share it with everyone here because no one was teaching what Smooth had taught us. So by that point, we had decided to start teaching very basic classes here. And I think that actually really helped us think about how we need to teach it and break it down in our heads. So it was like taking the content that we had learned and then digesting it, understanding it, break it down, and then teaching that to other people. I think that in itself really helped us to understand, what do we have to explain? Why is this happening? And that really helped starting to teach the dance and then actually practicing regularly.
That's so good to say. I remember back in the 90s, the late 90s, I moved from New York to LA, and I was there for like 14 years. But when I went there, I was deep into salsa. Mambo was my dance. And when I got to LA, there weren't a lot of people who danced the way that I did. It's like New Yorkers. And so I tell people this because I did this, is that if you want a community, then build one, which is partly what you did. By teaching classes and all that, you've created a small community that has grown. And so that's two things that happen. You have a growing community and you're learning by teaching, right? Because when you teach, you learn how to perfect whatever it is that you're teaching. And then you find ways to explain it so that people can understand it and disseminate it. And you're witnessing their absorption of it. You can tell when they're not getting it right or if they need help with something. And it's good that you said, basic stuff because that's all you learned, right? So that's all you really knew. So you're passing that information on. And that's wonderful. I think that's really wonderful, especially because it is fundamentals and basic stuff. Because when those people, that's all they have for the moment, they're going to get really good at that.
Right.
And I like that. And I've seen your growth, of course, whenever we've been in the same areas together, because we've been to the same events as well, besides your visit to New York. Every time I see you, you're a different dancer. You're that much better. And I know that something's going on. I just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Talia's really getting good, and especially during the competition over there in LA.
Oh,
I,
thank you.
I suppose I could see from when I first met you, and you weren't bad. Don't get me wrong. When you came and I saw you for the first time, I thought you danced really well. But the difference between 412 and the LA Congress is a
Oh,
significant difference. I mean, don't you feel
yeah, night and day. Yeah.
oh,
I can't really watch any of the videos of myself when I
oh,
first came to here because I feel a little bit oh, wasn't that good? But I had so much fun. It doesn't matter that I wasn't, I didn't feel personally that I'm so good. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, that difference is only, that was in December when we met, maybe
20,
22?
yeah,
22?
22, yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
you came in the summer.
yes.
Oh, you had Sunset Hustle and all that.
And then 2023 was when LA was in. So
Right,
like a little bit less than a year, and then
right.
yeah, it definitely transformed a lot. Because when I visited New York, I was dancing every day. Almost there was always something happening. So like Monday at 4:12, and then I went to Nelson's class as well, and I saw you there.
Right.
And then I also at that time I took a private with Veronica, which
Ooh,
was amazing as well.
yes.
To hear her perspective on how to follow and breaking that down even further. And then I was really lucky because the timing aligned with Starlight,
Yeah.
which is amazing. I love
Yeah.
Starlight. One of the best parties. And
It's so big.
yeah,
There's so many.
yes,
Yeah.
the floor is just amazing
Oh,
there.
delicious.
And the people there.
Delicious. Yes.
Yeah. And then so I was there in December, and then I was lucky enough to actually come back again in January. And at that time, it was the New Jersey Hustle Congress.
Right.
It was my first time competing, and I had like no clue what I was doing, to be honest. I was just like, okay, let's just do this for fun. And yeah, looking back at those videos, I wasn't that good. But I think also during that trip, I was like learning from as many people as I could. Louis, Orlando as well,
Mm.
and Diane Nardone as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was trying to get as much information as I could because I was only there for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And then after I came back from that trip was trying to like explain to my partner what I had learned, and we were like practicing a lot. And then leading up to LA, we were really motivated about the competition, so I think that really helped us.
Practice, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but let me tell you though, if you're not watching yourself, you should. Because let me tell you, when I came back to Hustle, I hated the way I looked. I looked like an old guy trying to get around, and it was like I looked bad in every single way that you could think of. I knew some moves and all that, the things that I remembered, and I also used the stuff that I have from Salsa. My Mambo is great, but my hustle looked horrible. But I'm glad to have been able to see myself on video. Even though I
Mhm.
hated looking at myself, I could spot the things and look at the things that I knew were not good, the things that I need improvement in. And when you do that, it helps you to elevate. It helps you to level up. Don't give up on seeing yourself. Yeah, it may be a little gross to you, but it's a great it really is.
Yeah, I agree. I'll watch myself like when we do the practice, but I mean like in retrospect, if I watch
Oh.
myself like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I'm like I don't want to see it anymore. Like take it out of my memory.
Right. I can imagine. Listen, how large is your hustle community in Japan, and what have you done to help it grow besides the classes?
I mean, we were lucky enough when we started. There were like 20 or 30, I think 20 people act. So in Tokyo, there are two new style hustle communities. There's Sabu and Eri, and then also one led or started by Kenji.
Oh, right.
But that was before my time. So
Okay.
before, I mean, like I'm not.
Before your time,
Yes, before he started. I don't want to make them sound like really old
yeah,
people. They're
because
not.
Kenji's like really old, right? No.
Don't say that. He's not. So, but they started it, I think, because they both learned, from what I understand, they both learned in New York from Jeff
Right.
Selby.
Mhm.
And then they took it back, and then they started their own communities around the same time in Tokyo. And then they started to grow that. I think Sabu and Aries community, they call it Hustle Break Tokyo now.
Uh,
It's their ninth year anniversary this year.
Oh.
Like they're gonna hit 10 years next year.
Okay.
And the Attendees community, well, he's not here anymore, so now it's led by Shige and Unupo.
Okay.
So they're coming up on their 10 years. They're actually gonna celebrate next month in April.
I see.
So around 10 years. So we started, as I said, like 5 years ago, so like midway point. So already by that time, like they were having like some regular sessions on the Tuesday. So that's when Kenji's community has their sessions always on the Tuesday. And then Sabuneri, they were having like classes on the Thursday and then sometimes like sessions on the Friday. And now it's like really, really regular. So now, in general, like there's every week two sessions and then like a couple of people are teaching. And in terms of what I wanted to do with Yushi, so we started Hustle Flyer Japan last year in 2023. And the reason why is like I really wanted, like after coming back from New York, I was like, oh, I really want to have like a big party, a big event, and invite people outside of Japan to come dance with the community here, and then show them also what hustle can look like. As of course, like the style that's danced here is a little bit different from like the style in New York or Canada, say whatever. So I wanted to like show people like, oh, you can have so much fun even with hustle, because I think before I really learned about what hustle was, my image of it was like ballroom and very like strict, and it was, but that was like, that was my, like when I had no idea, like zero idea of what it was. Yeah. It was just like kind of like that, maybe like an unconscious bias of what it was. Like you like had to dress up and like it was like following very strict. But then I started watching the videos on NHTV and I was like seeing people like Veronica dance and like, wow, she's like so free and she's having so much fun, and it was so different from what I had thought it originally was. And then experiencing it for myself for the first time in New York, and I was like, this is crazy. Like I want other people to feel what I'm feeling and to just like experience it. And of course, like as I said, like if you don't have the resources to travel to New York, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
So in my head I was like, oh, like we should just I should just make an event and invite people here so that people that are in Japan can experience it for themselves. So that's why like I started Pacify Japan. I said I really want to invite guests here so that we can have a big party and just exchange.
You had Veronica there, right?
Yes. Yeah, our first year was Veronica Castilla and also Sean Kim from Hustle at RS in Vancouver.
Yeah,
It was great.
Yeah, I thank you guys for sending me the videos from that. If I could have done it, I would have loved to have gone. But the videos were, I liked it. I liked the energy there coming from what I saw. Rubber shot it, they shot it well. I appreciated that too, And I think it gives people an idea and understanding of what's going on in your neck of the woods, and gives people a chance to say, "Wow, these people can dance." It's another location that folks would say, "Hey, let's go to Tokyo and hang out with the hustle folks there." I think that's great. That kind of event and things like that is wonderful for community growth. Have you also thought about competitions and stuff like that? Like low-level competitions to help draw people and things like that? Is that in the books for the future, or?
Actually, so Zabu and Aries, sometimes they host like a lot of like Jack and Jill, like mini battles and stuff. So I thought like we already kind of have that. And what I really wanted for Hustle Party Japan was like a focus on the social and party aspect. So that was why for the first edition, it was mostly, we had workshops, we had the social, and then we had a talk session, which I thought was really important because we don't have so many opportunities to like sit down and chat with people who aren't the community here. So it was really cool to like hear about the history and the background of hustle from their perspective.
Nice, nice. And what do you have planned? I know that as far as your parents coming up, and that's
Yes.
fun, and you have some pretty cool guests, on the staff, and you may as well announce that now, and that's gonna be
So it's gonna be May 18th and 19th, and we have two amazing guests, Felipe Beltran and Abdiel. And I'm so excited for this year's edition. So we're doing again workshops, a lot of socials, doing good DJ. We have some DJs from locally in Japan and also a DJ from Korea coming. And then we decided to do something inspired by Hustle and Art. I did an event, Hustle Van Jam. So we're also gonna do a Hustle crew battle
okay.
as well. Yeah, so it's gonna be super fun.
Oh, I got to see those videos in there.
Yes.
Because Hustle Band
Yeah.
very, very productive. I mean, Sarah was very cool to actually when she went, I guess it was the year before last or early last year. And she says, oh, yeah, I'm going to Vancouver I didn't even know about it. She says, oh, this thing, Hustle Band, you want videos? I'm like, yeah, like, okay. And when I got him, I was like, this is very cool. I really liked it. And so the whole crew battle, and there was a lot of innovative things happening in these crew battles. Very, very nice. And so, all these things that help to, again, getting back to growing a community, they help to grow a community and makes things so much fun because it was. That the fun really translated, from the video to whoever's watching it. And I think even the people that were in the audience during the battles were really stoked. So I think that those are great things to do. And just like in LA, how they have different types of competitions, like with the shields and the blindfolds and that kind of stuff. And I think that it helps to perpetuate the fun, to increase the passion, to bring people together regarding hustle because it's so much fun. In my opinion, coming from other genres of dance, social dancing, I think hustle in general is really so much more welcoming than all the others. And that's not to say that they're bad. None of them are bad. But I think that the hustle has a lot less drama and a lot more open arms. So regardless of where you're coming from, everybody, and that's literally everybody is welcome. No one looks down their nose at anybody else. And I love that about the community at large. But speaking about that, like, what is the general age group that attends your events, and what do you feel draws them in?
I think the age group usually in their 30s and early 40s is at the average age here. Yeah, and a lot of people actually have a street dance background. So people coming from house, walking, yeah, a lot of people from street dance are coming in and getting drawn in.
Yeah, that too. A lot of times you're finding, when we first were doing the hustle, because I was exposed to the hustle back in the 70s. I got into it around 74. And I had the only other, from myself, the only other thing that was my background in dance was salsa. So it translated really well, of course, because it is like the older cousin to the hustle. And during that time, street dance was becoming more, it was happening, like up rock and things like that. I didn't really like it. I didn't get into it, but my younger brother did. And so that was something that we all kind of gravitated, especially during those times, because it was really tough times, during the 70s. So we needed that distraction. But I can see how, since the only other real heavy duty couple dance is salsa, and there is a strong global salsa community. But I'm finding too, with all the discussions that I'm having with folks and all the things that I see, that most of the younger folks that come into the hustle comes from street dance, solo dancing, like popping and locking and things like that. So I'm not surprised. But do you find that, or do you feel that you try to bring in other folks older? I'm calling
Ah,
new gen because they don't have a background beyond 40, 50, 60 years old. Do you see, or are you targeting that at all, or is that's not a real concern for you?
they learned from maybe Kyoju. You met him, I think, in LA.
Okay.
Yeah, he was so Kyoju is also teaching like the hustle here in Tokyo. So
Right.
Kyoju's base is
He does like
he
a 4 count hustle as well, right?
yeah, he has his elegant hustle, he
Right.
calls it, in the 4 count. But we did take 2 or 3 classes from him, but his audience or the people that go to his classes are like the older generation.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, some of them did come last year to our event,
Oh,
and we're hoping to like make it also fun for them to join as well this year.
right.
Yeah.
So do you folks communicate at all in like crossing over as far as age wise? Because I mean, there's no real crossover when it comes to music. The music is basically
Mm-hmm.
the music that we dance also to. But do you find that in order to really make it intergenerational, are you working on or thinking about crossing over with each other?
Yeah, I think that's something that we need to work on more. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be nice to have everyone like even more, yeah, as you said, crossing over and communicating between the generations. I think that's something that, yeah, we can definitely work on.
Right. That would be cool. I think, because it
Mm-hmm.
solidify the community and not make it segregated by age.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is, yeah, trying to set, yeah, to
No, no,
purposely,
I'm
yeah,
on purpose.
yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah, yeah, of
because sometimes we gravitate to what we feel comfortable with. So sometimes,
course.
folks who are at a particular age group feel more comfortable with, with people in that.
Yeah.
For me, I'm comfortable with everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
I like dancing with kids and I like dancing with people older than me. To me, it feels very inclusive. So yeah, I don't think it's something that's, and I hope that that's not what you feel I'm implying. I don't, I'm
No,
not,
no, 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 yeah.
yeah, I don't think it's intentional. I just think that people gravitate to what feels most comfortable to them. And then when we realize, oh, hey, we could have just as much fun over here as we're having over here. So then, because when I saw them over in LA, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot,
Yeah, that was really nice.
LA,
Yeah.
lot,
I, mm,
and compared, I don't think you didn't go the year before, right?
no, no. Last year's
And
for the first
let me
time.
tell you, the Asian contingent was probably triple from the year before. A lot of you folks really spent money to come out there and hang out and have a good time, and you know what I mean. And it was wonderful. I thought it was so, and folks have a lot of innovative things too, which leads me to my next question: where do you
Mhm.
innovation, or where do you see other people innovating when they're not really connected to the source or to the mecca? Like you only come every once in a while, and I've seen other dancers I haven't seen in New York, but they dance like wow. Can you attribute that to?
I think I'm gonna use Hustle Taiwan as an example because they have, I think, one of the largest communities in the world right now. Maybe in the top 5 communities of hustle in the world. They're like the biggest.
Mhm.
What's interesting about them is that like a lot of their dancers, they explore other partner dances like Zouk. As I was saying, Wilbur, he's one of like the teachers there. He
Mhm.
does Zouk, and then also Cozy. Right now he's living in LA, but he's like one of the main leaders in that group. He's exploring like West Coast slang, and they're like using all of these partner dances and learning about their connection to that, and then how to use it in hustle, which is pretty cool. Because I
Are they
think,
salsa and like
yeah,
right? Are they also doing salsa thought I saw some performances, some salsa performances at one of their events, or maybe I'm confusing it with another group.
Ah, I'm not sure. Perhaps I think maybe some people are. I know, like for example, Zabu here in Tokyo is also doing salsa as well. So some of like his hand patterns, they're coming from salsa, from what I understand. Mhm. So it's like, even though, yeah, we can't go to New York like every other weekend, at
Right.
least like we can try to explore like different styles of dance to understand like how we can integrate that within hustle.
So, what do you think has been your biggest aha moment? Because you mentioned aha before, and that's why I laughed at it. What's been your biggest aha moment regarding your hustle dance growth? Yours.
I feel like I've had multiple. One that like is what made me really, really happy was when I was in New York and I went to Hustle Club and I was dancing with Boots, and then all of a sudden, like, Boots is like, yes, or like, work to me, or like, just like really joyful and very expressive about how much fun he's having. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing, because I feel like it's very like it's like it's obvious when he's like really having a good time, and like when he's really into the music, you know. So it's like when you're in the pocket like together,
Right.
that was crazy for me, and like an aha moment, because I was like, wow, I'm like dancing with a legend, and then we're having such a fun time. Like, I think that's a memory that I would keep forever.
And like
Yeah.
both were like really in sync. You know, that's like, there's something to be said about when you're dancing with someone and it's good and you're having a good time. And then there's that dance. There's that dance, right? And you're like,
Mhm.
holy cow, this is like stupendous. It's wonderful. It's delicious. It's like, and you could just keep going on forever with adjectives about how great it
Yeah.
is.
And I remember at the moment, because he's like, "You're not leaving New York." He's like, "You're staying here." So I really felt like I was like, "Oh my God," like I'm dancing like a New Yorker. Like that's how much I think our dance was like this
Right, right.
at the time. So
Wow,
it
that's
was just yeah.
what a been. Wow, you must have been like,
The biggest compliment.
right.
Like
I'm high, so high now, right? Like
yes,
I'm
yes.
floating out. You stop dancing, you still feel high. Oh my God, that's so
Yeah.
great. I noticed one thing about you initially when you came a couple of times, and then I've watched your dancing on video as well. And I noticed that I don't know if evolution is the term to use, but the way you're dressing, the way you dress for dance, right? And I noticed this too with a lot of street dancers. When they first get started, they're all really loose clothing, sneakers mostly, right? Very slacks, mostly jeans or whatever, wide leg pants, what have you. And then after a while, you see that the followers especially, they start wearing dance shoes, like 2-inch, 3-inch dance heels. They're wearing skirts or dresses, or they're wearing really nice slacks. The clothing is now a little bit more form fitting. Explain
You
that.
really enjoy that.
I love it because I, in my brain, Latin hustle has a specific look, feel, attitude. Fire is the biggest expression for dance when it comes to hustle. Fire. You come out there to deal. I feel that way too about music for hustle. You're like, there's a place for down tempo music and all that, but if it's down tempo, it's still got to be killing syncopations, things like that. You could still, the fire still exists even down tempo. So the clothing makes a big difference too, in the look, in the feel, in the sensation of it. when you watch it, there's a specific sensation that you feel. And I feel that way going back, well, now I can say 50 years, right? To see women dancing a specific way. Again, I have my own ideas what Latin hustle should look like with women. And I have to say, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but women should look like they just came from salsa. I think that's the closest thing I have to say. Hip movement, tighter, tighter footwork, not leaning forward, the butt's not sticking out, but the clothing is kind of form fitting, whether it's dresses and or slacks. Yeah, I have this vision of what Latin hustlers should, and I don't care. I do care, but I don't care so much that it bothers me. I think that representative of the culture of the dance, that's what women should be doing, and guys too. Guys shouldn't be all bummy and all that stuff. Again, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop dancing with you or won't dance with you. That's not the thing here. And so, again, getting back to what I've been noticing, when street dancers start to gravitate from how they learn hustle, whether it's new style or any other way. In your case, you had it from different sources, and some of them you had to choose yourself. But they start to gravitate to the shoes and the wear, the clothing. Have you seen that? Have you noticed that? Or me telling you now, does it kind of ring bells? And how do you look at that?
Yeah, I think clothing is definitely a way that you could set the tone or set the mood. Like if I'm just going to a practice session, yeah, I'm just gonna wear like the t-shirts and just like joggers or whatever. And then if I know it's a party, then I'm gonna like wear like my full face of makeup and then like maybe some clothes that I feel like I look good in, and I feel like that would help me like feel more into the party. I think that's really important. I wouldn't necessarily say like maybe it has to be form fitting, but anything I feel that can help you like boost your mood and help you it's like I think to get out of the mindset that this is just a practice but like a party.
Right.
That we're going out to have fun.
Right.
Right? I think that clothing really helps. Music is really important too. I think like for practices and sessions, a lot of it is just like a playlist, and then after one song you put off and they're like, oh, thanks for the dance, and you're like, okay, next person. But I think the DJ is really important too, to like make everything seamless and then like have a build up and really enjoy like 10, 15 minutes with one person and really get into the dance with them. That's really important. I think lighting is also really important as well. I think, like having it more like kind of like the feel at the club, almost. Yeah. I think those are all elements to separate between like just a practice and then really having fun and having a party and being out, and because it's a social dance. So I think that's the socials is what's making people come back.
Yeah, I think too, like when you look at what is, I really don't want to use the word appropriate. I mean, that's the word that comes to mind, but that's not really what I mean. Okay, but when you go and do a street dance, you go to a dance or street dance, you're not gonna go heels and flags, because you're gonna be throwing yourself on the floor. You're gonna be doing all big wide movements and things like that. It's like dance to go to an event in a way that fits that event.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Like street dance events, like how you dress for that, and then how I would dress for like a hustle social is very different. That's very true.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference. I mean, like, I don't know if you saw Sarah's interview, and we spoke about shoes. And last night I was at Hustle Club, and she was wearing like heels, like real dance shoes. she's been wearing heels for a while, but she's been wearing those wider heels. Now she was wearing like these regular, like 3-inch, 3-inch dance shoes. She looked great. And I think she was wearing this, like this, it almost looked like a bodysuit. It was very form fitting in that regard. And I'm not saying that that needs to happen, but Oscar, right? Oscar was shooting,
Mm-hmm.
and I whispered in his ear, "Get her shoes." And then he kind of panned down and he got her the shoes on and all that. When she was done, I asked her, I says, wow, I see your shoes. How's it feel? She goes, ooh, her feet hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to get used to them, right? You just
Mhm.
used to doing that. But oh my God, when people change their appearance and wearing the attire that is for that particular event, they look like they belong. And if they're evolving in their dance, they look even better. One other thing I think that, in my opinion, that followers could do, female followers especially, is letting their hips move. Because Latin hustle, well, I don't want to give an identifier for Latin hustle. I'm waiting to speak to somebody to give all that because I have my own. But I think that if you knew how to dance the salsa music, followers especially, you would carry yourself and your body would move specifically in a certain way that translates immediately into Latin hustle. You could tell. It's funny too because there was this young lady who came to Nelson Roman's new event that Lost in Music here in Oscar. She came there for the first time. She had first time dancing hustle. She knew the basics and all that. And so I saw her and I was like, oh my God. And, we started talking. And then I introduced her to everybody in the place. And then I asked if she wanted to dance. And sure. And I danced with her and all that. And she did pretty good. And then we were done. I was speaking to Boots. And I said, yeah, she's from Hustle. Yeah, no, I could tell. And Boots immediately, he gravitates to that, especially. He'll get up and ask somebody to dance quicker than he would anyone else when he realizes and he sees someone that looks like they probably have a salsa background or whatever in dance.
Mm.
And if you watch salsa dancers, dancing mambo, what have you, watch some videos, watch some salsa videos. Just go anywhere and just some salsa. It doesn't matter if they're dancing on one or two. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. But you watch their style. The styling from salsa immediately translates into Latin hustle. Immediately. Every single woman who is very comfortable and is experienced in salsa looks fantastic in hustle, even if they don't know it, because they know all the movements for it. So I think,
Mm.
and for those of you who are watching, something that you might want to consider as well is watch some salsa videos and watch those followers and see how they're moving. And then you watch the really experienced hustle dancers and you see the Latin hustle is very, 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 very close. Something I thought you might.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, from what I understand, like hustle, when it started in the 70s, it had like the influence from salsa and mambo. So it makes a lot of sense that if you can dance salsa really well, that means that it'll translate really well into hustle. Is this correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been borrowing from each other because when hustle came out, folks dancing to salsa music did not have turn patterns. I mean, they had a couple here and there. It was mostly body work and doing footwork, shines, and things that they would do during the break in the music. And the hustle came around. And they were all younger people who wanted to do stuff, right?
Really.
Hitting things that the salseros from the time, this was even before the term salsa was even being used. The term salsa came out right around the time that hustle came out. So they were either dancing mambo, guaguancó, somontuno, whatever. They were all dancing the same kind of way, but the body styling was the same. And they took that body, put it into hustle. And then the turn pattern started to happen with the kids. And then they were transferring it over. I mean, those people were transferred over to hustle, and then the hustle stuff started to look so cool that the salseros were using it, and it just kept borrowing from each other. over the decades. And so now a lot of times when you see the body styling, it's indistinguishable. But in my
It's really
opinion,
cool.
also is mostly what the women do. It's mostly what the followers do.
Mm.
So it would behoove followers to really pay attention to that styling. And if you get a little confused, then go see an instructor who teaches, hustle styling, and or watch some salsa dancing, watch the salseros dancing, and watch the women specifically doing that styling, and you'll see how they look, extremely similar. In your travels and other than New York, where have you seen the highest caliber of hustle dancing other than New York?
Oh, that's a tough question. Well, because I've been in Kenya, Montreal, Poland as well. I actually haven't been to Taiwan to dance.
Mm.
So I've just visited Taiwan for travels, but I've met many Taiwanese
Hustle dancing.
dancers at different events. Like in LA, I met some, and then in Korea, Hustle Korea, they had an event, Hustle Seoul Night, and a bunch of people were there. I really enjoy dancing with the leads from
In Korea?
Taiwan.
Oh, Taiwan.
The mindset with their dancing is to make the follower feel very comfortable. Like that's the mindset, I think, of the leagues when they're dancing.
Mm.
And it just feels very nice. Like I feel like I can trust them 100%. And
Nice.
it's like I never had a bad dance with a Taiwanese hustle dancer.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And their beginners are also really high level. Like I met someone who had just been dancing, I think, for less than a year, and she was leading, and I was like, wow, you are amazing. Like, how can you do all this? Like, I'm so impressed. Like, I was really impressed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Taiwan is yeah, they're on fire, I think. They really get like their basics.
Good to know. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think, that's one of the things that really interests me is how other folks are doing, outside of New York. Because, New York is supposed to be the Mecca. New York is, of course, ground zero. And we want to think that the New Yorkers are the best around. And to some degree, that's true. But in other instances, it's not, because I think that we've gotten a little complacent. And
Mhm.
because I had a conversation with Jamal, and his thought was that in other locales, their hunger is different than ours. They're
I
hungrier.
definitely
So
agree. I
they,
agree.
they get in there and they go, I need to get this, I need to get that, because they're not getting the resources. So they're diving deep into the information regarding not just the dance, but their own journey. But I think it's different in that way. And I like to hear it. I like to hear how
Yeah.
folks outside of New York are not only getting along, but progressing so much that they're almost taking the lead. Almost. If we're not careful, other locales are going to be much better than New Yorkers, except for the OGs and stuff like that, and the veterans. So, and especially because most of the people we're talking about right now is like from the last 10 years, right?
For sure. Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. A decade. And we're talking about veterans who have been around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? I mean, if we're going 40, 50, we're talking OGs, right? So it's important to note that halfway around the world, they're moving and grooving. I saw Cozy dancing in LA and I was blown away.
Yeah, Cozy's amazing.
I was like,
Well,
who is this?
lead and follow, both, like
Yeah,
extremely good.
yes.
Yes.
I love it. I love that. I love that these people are not only paying attention, they're becoming innovators, they're becoming go-to folks to dance with and get information from. And they're the new gen. And that's wonderful because I think that will help spark a future attendees to events and, get-togethers and things like that, but also classes and to learn and be inspired because that's what we want. I mean, I've been talking about hustle for the last couple of years that I saw then when I first came back to hustle. I'm like, it's moving and grooving now. Not by leaps and bounds. Look, back in 1997, 98, I had moved to LA. And I think 1997, that same year, they had the very first ever Salsa Congress. It was in Puerto Rico.
Mm.
And within a couple of years, there were congresses in nearly every major city on the planet. I mean, salsa is a household word. You say salsa, they're thinking about the sauce. They're thinking about the dance, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I was there. I saw it. I had my foot deep into that when things were picking up like that. And I have the same feeling right now with hustle. I feel that that's just going to happen. I feel that I'm going to be back again because it was a household word, for a while, especially after Saturday Night Fever, right? And then that's when the explosion happened, right? For at least 5 years. But I feel it. And COVID helped. COVID helped because, we were all dying to touch each other and dance and all that. And,
Yes.
disco was making a resurgence as well. So simultaneous, three things happen simultaneously, and I see the progression every year. I see it when I shoot the videos. I see it when I go to the events. So, and it feels good,
Like yeah.
And
it's so cool, like, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was gonna say that what's so nice is that with hustle, you can travel to these different communities and always feel welcomed. I feel that's the biggest thing for me. Like, I'm able to travel, but then there's some kind of hustle going on into the cities where I'm going. So that's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, that's basically the same thing I mentioned earlier, that it's one of the most welcoming genres of dance, and I feel too that it's probably the safest. I think in general, women could probably feel safer in hustle than could in salsa, or I can't say much for West Coast because I don't know that community, but I know since salsa is very big, I know a lot of what has been going down, in general as well as behind the scenes. And with hustle, it's great. It's great. So we're getting close to the end of this, and I want to ask you a question. If you've been following the podcast, you probably know what I'm going to ask you next. And if you can, give me your thoughts on this. But to you, what is Latin hustle?
Yeah, so I did hear you ask this question in your previous podcast, but for me, Latin hustle is really emphasizing on where the dance is coming from, and it's part of the Latin community, and I think that's something that we can't forget. And then you've mentioned about in things of salsa and mambo from the dance, and then the use of the hips. I think that's the biggest characteristics of the Latin hustle.
Nice. Good to hear. Before we go, any last thoughts or anything you want to say, even if it includes promotions, not just promotions, but if you have any other thoughts as well that you want to let us know about?
Yes. Yeah, so hopefully everyone can come out to Hustle Fire Japan. It's our second edition this year, and I'm really excited to have Abdiel and Philippe come, and already we have a lot of interest from international participants from Taiwan, Korea, Europe, as well as Poland, and then escape the US and Canada. A lot of people are planning to come, so it's going to be a really fun, really great event. I hope to see you there.
Nice. Come on out, folks. If you can afford to do it, please come on out, because I've seen the videos. I plan to go maybe next year. Maybe next year it'll be my year to go. And I know it's fire. And that's a great
Yes,
you
it's in the
you
name.
yeah, you got correct, you know, because when you hustle fire. In fact, you got to say fire.
Yeah, fire. And
Fire.
all of our pictures. Fire.
Exactly. Very, very, very cool. Okay, so anything else you wanna hit us to?
Well, this year there's so many events happening around the world. Like if you can't come out to Hustle Fire Japan, like check out the other events like happening. I think Hustle Van Jam is gonna have another event in November. There's the LA Hustle Congress. I'm sure New York Hustle Congress is gonna happen as well in the summer, maybe end of July, early August. I'm not sure when the date is. And then next year, also, I think Hustle Taiwan is having their 10th year anniversary. So they're having a congress, the first congress in Asia. It's a Hustle. So that's going to be really exciting, and I'm planning to be there. So yeah, definitely like explore and reach out to different communities and try dancing with new people. I think that's the thing.
Also, another one is the International Latin Hustle Festival in Miami.
Yes.
That was a great one last year. This year's going to prove to be even better. And then, of course, the LA. That's great. So, Thalia, man, it's so great to see you. And for those of you who don't know, Talia's in Japan and I'm in New York. I'm in Brooklyn. So we have a 14-hour difference right now. We started around 10 o'clock at night in New York. It was like noon in Tokyo, right? So yeah, this is awesome. That's what I love about this type of technology, that we could talk to each other and let everybody know that, hey, we're cool, and if we got to stay up or if we got to be home to do whatever, we're gonna make it happen. So this is it for this edition of Let's Talk Hustle. With me today, of course, is Thalia Ng. How do you say
Nghiem. Thalia Nghiem.
Nghiem. All right.
Yes.
I'll get it right. So, folks, please subscribe if you haven't already. Click like, or click that notification bell so you know when the next episode is going on, as well as all the other and 1, 2, 3 videos that come up, because of course Let's Talk Hustle resides in the N123 space. So with that being said, toodaloo, right?
Bye.
Say goodbye in Japan.
Matane.
Matane. Hey, Mike Bello here in the M123 studio with the Let's Talk Hustle podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to New Circle Films, who were so gracious to sponsor me with product, especially this particular boom arm for the microphone, as well as some lighting. So yeah, it's really helped to give a greater look to the podcast. So thank you, New Circle Films. And of course, the other shout out, tongue in cheek, to N123, because the podcast is residing in the N123 channel. So that's it, folks. See you in the next video.